want to share something. As far as the corner is concerned, I'm just going to concentrate on the corner. And I know some of this might be repetitive, I realize that. All right. I know the map here was designed just to cover the parking, but if you go across the way, we all know there's a little strip mall there, and it's off-center to the road. I was told it was designed that way, who knows why. But coming out of the strip mall, if you want to go to park, you have to turn right, stop, and then turn left to get onto Park Street. With traffic coming from going westbound, even in the daytime, that's precarious. All right. I have seen many times people coming down eastbound on Park Street to turn into that mall, and they turn into the exiting side of that mall. Okay, that creates a scenario. It does have something to do with the other side of the street, because if you have two cars moving at the same time, it's a very dangerous situation. Again, if you look at this walkway that's here right on the corner, as I expressed last time, if you come right out of that restaurant and you want to cross that street so that you can cross over to the mall if you parked in the mall, you have your back to the traffic that's coming eastbound from the library. What this does not show is the grade on how the road goes down sufficiently enough that if you come out of that restaurant and you look to see if there's any traffic coming at night, you will not know there's a car coming if you happen to look as that car descended below the sight line. So once you cross that street, if that person happens to be making a turn and they come in that corner about 30, 35 miles an hour, if they make that turn with your back to it, you have no idea that that vehicle is coming. And that's an extremely vulnerable spot. If you do make it across and you're standing on the corner at the gas station, you still can't see the traffic coming once it goes below that line. All right, so once you come out, then you are vulnerable to there's a walkway there, you are vulnerable to east-westbound traffic on 62, and you have your back to Park Street. Right, so that's the concern that I have on that issue. To me, it's a real safety issue. I would like to say yes to an establishment, all right? I just wish it was across the street, because if it was across the street, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Unfortunately, you're on the wrong side of the street, all right? So I have to live with that situation there, and knowing that yes, alcohol does increase the possibility of an accident. Right. The other issue that I take into consideration is that, you know, we have to look at the town, and what does the town want to do? I could see here many people from throughout the town would like to see this restaurant established with a liquor license or beer and wine in the evening. Okay, but then you also have to consider those who are in the immediate community who are affected by it. I think that you have to weight viewpoints based on circumstance, and I do believe that the people immediately within the community surrounding that establishment have expressed their viewpoint that this is an establishment that they do not wish to have within their community, and I think that needs to be considered as well. All right, so I have to start off by saying, as I said last week, the safety issue is just too big for me to overcome and granting a license, beer and wine. And I'm sorry about that, but it's just too big of an issue for me.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Yule,
I am done.
Sorry. Mayor. I'll begin by, thank you. I'll begin by saying that I know there's a lot of emotion on both sides of this issue. We've seen it at 3 meetings now. But coming to a decision here, or a vote here, we as a board, you have to remove the emotional side of it and decide what's best for the community as a whole. And in doing so, take into consideration the opposition from the neighborhood community, but you also take into consideration the applicant. Based upon the research I have done, those are but two factors to consider. If you were to take a look at the case law concerning the granting or denial of a liquor license, the other factors that need to be considered are, is there a certain area of town that does not have a type of license that exists in other areas of town? Based upon the research I have done, you can't deny a license because it's in a particular area that doesn't have a license that the other areas have. You can't discriminate. You can't spot zone like an adult entertainment district that all communities can create. This is an area of town that was discussed at previous meetings that doesn't have this particular license. Well, that actually weighs in favor of the applicant. We have to, as a board, come to a decision that can pass review by an administrative body, like the ABCC, and/or a judicial body, whether it be a superior court or an appellate court. The applicant has taken major steps to address the safety and lighting and the parking issues that were addressed at the prior meetings. They've agreed this evening to remove and make it part of the condition of a license if it's granted, 3 parking spots out front. I think that reduces significantly safety issues that were addressed by the residents of the area, as well as Mr. O'Leary, how he was stopped a few weeks ago. There'll be no other cars parked in front of it. In addition, I believe the applicant has agreed to take away the 3 parking spots that are depicted in their design plan here that come out onto and past the street line into the fog line. They've shown this evening two signed letters by Mr. Hardery allowing access to parking, whether it be for employee or patrons, across the street in the gas station. There's been another fact we have to consider in granting or denying the applicant's request for the license, the safety of the area. Well, the data presented is insufficient to come to a conclusion that it's an unsafe area. What the applicant has shown is that there's been, since 2005, 6, and 7, there's been 4 accidents in that area. The other factor we have to consider is, have we allowed expansion of other liquor establishments in town in the recent past? To my knowledge and recollection, there's been at least 2 liquor establishments, the full alcohol license establishments, that have been allowed to expand in the community in the recent past, over the last 2, 3, 4 years. So we can't on one hand say we're denying this application, but we have allowed expansion of other establishments that already have a full alcohol license in the same community. It will not stand up to administrative or judicial review, in my opinion. What is also significant to me is the opposition from the residents in the area, which has been stated, the business is in a business district, although it does abut a residential area. At the very first hearing, there was wide support from the opposition for the applicant to come in before us for a beer and wine license. I find it somewhat curious that now the applicant has come in for a beer and wine license. Now the opposition is saying we don't want any alcohol served there at all. I don't know how you rectify and justify that, quite honestly. So, removing all the emotion from it and looking at it from a perspective that, will my decision stand up to administrative judicial review, I would vote in favor of the applicant's request for a beer and wine license.
Mr. Vina?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. My position has not changed, and I will say why. Because looking at the parking, the best I can see here, after we have the employees all parked, and I kept it down to, I believe they said 4 or 5, there would be 9 spaces available. That's the most I can come up with. But my big concern is for the neighborhood. It's for the neighborhood on Wright Street, on Park Street, Washington Street. This is my big concern, is the effect on the neighborhood. I guess I would just like to make one comment on one of Mr. Delaney's comments. I did hear one person say at one meeting, maybe they could ask for a beer and wine. I did not see overwhelming support. For a matter of fact, I don't even think that person was suggesting that, but I missed it. If it was there, I missed it. I'm sorry if I did. But at this time, I just cannot support it because of the impact on the neighborhood. That is my main reason.
Thank you, Joe. Steve, you want any comment, or?
Sure, I'd like to comment on a few things, on a few comments that were made, issues that were raised. First of all, comments obviously about the parking, and why are we so concerned about the parking? There were comments made that there have been establishments here for 50 years and parking has never been an issue. And that's pretty much true. People have pretty much tolerated the situation because of the types of businesses that were there in the hours of operations that were occurring with the types of establishments that were operating out of this facility. So anybody who's lived in town a long time and traveled the road often was well aware as to what was transpiring in the hours of operation, which generally were not at night and did not involve any alcohol. So parking, and we never made parking the issue. What made parking the issue here, right, is the applicants made the issue. The applicants were the ones who came in and painted some lines one day before the ABCC hearing to try and deceive the ABCC into believing that it was, or that there was appropriate amount of parking there, when there wasn't. They painted it the day before, and I tell you, it really sticks in my craw. Obviously, which probably shows. But there were discussions here amongst this board members as far as, and I sat here and said, I'm not looking to do anything about the parking. What about the parking? I'm not looking to do anything about the parking. In other words, they get turned down by the ABCC. Parking was an issue, and I said, nobody's looking to hurt the establishment and the business that they have right now. Let them continue to operate. Leave them alone. Then comes another application, and comes further scrutiny, and come to find out the parking is, some of the parking's in the public way. So parking, yes, it's been like that for years. Wasn't the issue with me. We've learned to tolerate it, learned to get around it, and applaud the success of the businesses that have been there over the years. And in particular, these people, because they've done a great job as far as curb appeal has never been better. They run a great establishment that's wonderful for what it is and what they bought. A breakfast and lunch establishment. People are saying, give them a chance. Give them the opportunity. I'm all for it. And yeah, I sit up here and I preach sometimes to the point of pontification where, yes, help the local businesses. We have to do what we have to do in order to see them expand and succeed and all the rest. But sometimes it just isn't an appropriate spot for the type of establishment that they're looking to establish there. That's all. From a public safety standpoint, from a neighborhood quality of life standpoint, it doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't work. We've heard from our police department. The reconfiguration on the Route 62 project hasn't helped the situation at that intersection. When you're coming from Mr. O'Brien's house and trying to take a left towards the police station, that bridge abutment is right in the way. It's made the sight lines worse, that Route 62 project. So with all the improvements that were going to take place, I don't see that it's having enhanced it at all. You can sit there, actually at night it might be a little bit better because you can at least see the headlights coming on, but you're sitting there during the middle of the day and you can't see, there's a low spot on that bridge and you can't see the vehicle coming. So the sight lines are not good. Again, from a public safety standpoint, I have significant issues in relation to issuing the license, and from a quality of life standpoint, there is no doubt in my mind